Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'm able to.
So I created one array with 5 elements and one array list with 5 elements.
Okay.
So I just log the start time and end time to one long variable,
Okay.
and then printed the difference between end time and start time.
Okay.
So is this the correct way to do?
Yeah. Since your data is in milliseconds, you might get a huge value. You can convert that also later if required. Okay. Anyway, your time taken is just 1 second, right?
Yeah. So this is for normal for loop for array.
Okay.
1 millisecond. And using iterator, it was 1 for array list.
Okay.
So this part iterator. And when I use this for each or enhanced for loop,
Okay.
the time was 0 or it was pretty fast.
Okay. So what I suggest is right now you had a very limited array list, right? Maybe you can just have a loop of data like more than 100 something and just check, or more than 1,000 also. You just have it as an integer and then you can iterate them and see what is happening and performance. Basically, the for each and the iterator are almost same because the for each internally uses the iterator operator. But when we are trying to use iterator explicitly because of our own business logic which comes in place, then we need to consider, like, in that scenario, can I go with for each or I'm really dependent on iterator? Because few of the exceptions can't be handled in for each. So those can be handled explicitly through iterators. So that is the reason I asked you to see the performance aspect. Since you have used minimal data, you might not observe the difference. Maybe if we start doing few more use cases on collection, you can observe the differences on performance part. So anyway, in the hash map also we have an iterator. So we'll see that today.
Okay. And one more doubt.
Yeah.
So in GitHub, I created one repo and made it public.
Oh, Java. Okay.
I kept all the assignment files here.
Sorry, I didn't get you the last point.
Yeah, I kept all the assignment files here.
Okay. Okay.
Just ping it in chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So you can create the hash map class. So we'll see in detail why the equals and hash code is very much important. What happens if you're not using that? And yesterday we just used equals and hash code, while how the hash code values are getting generated. Like for each class, we have our own implementation. And the equals method, like usually the equals method works on the object references. But if you go for string or if you have your own class and if you override them, you can write your own implementation. But what is the contract between equals and hash code? What if I override one thing and not overriding the other thing? We'll experiment that today in detail on hash map. So if you're clear on hash map, implementing hash set would not be difficult. So we'll see that now. So you can create one class, just a map class, something, any name. Okay. So now create a map with integer. So map is an interface where you have your classes like hash map and everything. So always, like, we are going to create our objects by type references, not directly to hash map right now. But in future, if required, we can create objects explicitly to hash map also.
Okay, so how to create?
Create a type reference, like create reference for your map and create an object for new hash map.
Okay.
And your key can be integer and your value can be string. Within the main method, try to add it, otherwise you'll get an error.
This is fine, Sneha.
Yeah, this is fine. Now to do add the data, just give map dot put, and within that you can have an integer and you can give your string something in double quotes and add one more object similar to it and print the size of the map. So again, you have size method to get the size of your map, like as you have in your array list, the same method. In sysout, just print map dot size. Okay. Have a debugger point on line number 11 as well as line number 13. Okay. Now, when you right click and execute in the debug mode, right click, debug as Java application. Okay, proceed. Switch. Basically, it gives you a different view. So now on to your right, you can see some menu like variables, breakpoints, and expressions, right? On your right side of your tab.
Yeah.
So there is a one highlighted in the within variable section on your right side. There are 4 icons. Can you just click on the second icon? After value, above the value, you have
Okay,
4
this
icons.
one.
Yeah, click on that one. The logical structure. Yeah. Can you enable that? I think you disabled it. Yeah, okay, fine. So why do we need logical structure is internally how the values are getting stored. So to understand the hash map internal structure, we are going to compare it and do it. Before going to that, before debugging and going in detail, let me just quickly tell an overview about this structure. So when you try to debug this application, you'll get a more better picture. So Kirval,
I will
let me
stop
share my screen. Yeah. So as we got to know, like whenever you create a hash map, so let me have it this. So you created map with key and value, any data type, and a reference equal to new and hash map. Right now we are using that. So this is the structure you're creating. So every time you create this hash map is an overloaded constructor. So which can be default capacity, or you can initialize the capacity. So what is the default in your default capacity whenever you create your hash map? So all the data, whatever you add as part of your map, will be stored as part of array of buckets. So the default capacity, or sometimes it is also called as load factor. So if you debug and if you observe, you can see 0.75 as your load factor. So or else you can see the initial capacity with 16. So this array of buckets are segregated whenever you create a map. If you're not having any initial capacity, then what happens here is it starts from the index 0 to the index 15. An array of buckets gets created. So let's say this is my index 0 and this is my index 15. So let me add a object into my map dot put, and right now if I'm giving integer 1, 1. So this is my object. So how will my data get inserted into this particular index, and every time will my index range only from 0 to 15, or it will get exceeded? So this is something we're going to observe now. So how is it happening is you would have observed the linked list structure, right? So your linked list has 3 parameters: the previous address, the data, and the next address. So usual node structure of your linked list will have like this: previous address, this would be data, and this would be the next address. So coming to the hash concept. So when you come to the hashing concept, so yesterday you'd have noticed like within the hash map class as well as within the objects dot class, we were calculating something called hash code. Okay, so what is the need of hash code here? So that is something we're gonna observe, that like how this hash code is actually used for us when we are writing the data into the hash map. That is the thing we are going to note. So what is happening is whenever you create a data, whatever things you are giving as part of put method put has one, the value key, the other one is your value. But how do we know this previous address and the next address? How do we know this index? So the two unknown values are my index. I don't know how this is getting calculated. And the fourth one, the next, I'm not sure how that is getting calculated and where I'm using it. So this is something we need to get clarified first. So the hashing structure, right? Internally, the hashing algorithm, what we're going to use is, it's going to use some kind of hashing algorithm. And what this hashing algorithm does is, it will calculate some kind of hash value that will be used for your indexes to insert your data. But every time my hash value will be within the range of buckets which I have, or it will be different. So let's see, I'm going to insert map.put of 1, 1. So usually the hash code method which we have, right, it will be with 31 into and some data into some data. So there'll be some kind of business logic happening behind this. So if I multiply 31 and then with the array of index size and with the value which I'm giving and the memory address, and after that, my data will not be for sure with double digits. It might be something with 676767. I'm not sure. I'm just giving a random number, but for sure it will not range with 0 to 15 index. It will be something, a different range. But how will I end up with this bucket values and insert the data of 1 and 1 in the relevant bucket? How I'm going to do that? For that purpose, to calculate this hash value, we internally use the hash code method of our object.class or something which you have overridden logic which you have in your classes. And we use that hash code method to calculate the index position of your array of bucket. So this basically helps us to tell, okay, you have to insert this 1.1 in the relevant index of 13. So what we do is on top of this, we do one more action called modular operation. So modulus can help us to predict the value. So we do some kind of modulus operation, modulus of, and then we just give n minus 1, the index size. Okay, so there's a hash value to perform this. So we do this like modular operation and plus we do the hash value into n minus 1. And finally, we end up with a bucket value where we can fit our data. So the hashing helps us to identify the index position. So are we clear till now? Like, why are we using hash code? Why do we need a hash function? Why, if we don't have the hash code or a hash function, why our data will not get set into this particular bucket? Are we clear till here? Okay. So
can you repeat?
There's not that much clear. Like it is somewhat vague to understand actually completely this part.
which part?
I mean, Ash code, even whatever you thought yesterday and even today's one actually. Maybe yesterday I'll rewatch the video. Can you repeat this alone once, that Ash code thing alone? Till like that capacity I understood till that, but only from the Ash code thing I'm not able to get the text.
Okay, fine, sure. So if you see right now, this particular map is a dictionary. It has its own key and it has only its value. So this is the function we use to add some kind of unique key and unique value. So we have key and value, but internally the hashing algorithm works like an array of buckets. So it is dependent on the index position and not on the key or value which you give as part of your input. So how are we going to identify these indexes? So if you say like to identify the indexes, we have our own hash function. So let's say my usual hash function will be whatever in value you get as part of your memory address, I'm going to give modulus of 10 or modulus of 90 and get the relevant index position. This is what I'm just giving a random business logic. But on top of this, I might fail to identify my index position. My memory address can be same for two instances. Say if I'm having one more instance here, map dot put of 2, 2. So though the key and value are different, my hash code for this particular instance can be same still. I'm not sure. That is the one we observed yesterday. Like if the hash codes are same, you can't make sure that your data is also same. Only if your data is same, hash codes are same. We learned 2 points, right? If your objects are equal, then your hash code must be same. But if your hash code is same, you can't guarantee whether your object, the data within that map must be same or not. So for that purpose, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to dependent only on my memory address. I'm also dependent on the key part. So for that purpose, we had the hash code method where we write our own logic of hash code implementations. So if you want to compare the data like string and string, so I can give like comparison of string, and I can also compare the length of the string, and only if they are equal, I'll create my own hash code. And so the hash code and the equals method. So you remember the purpose of those two methods, right, Janaki?
Yes, Megha. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're doing is to calculate the hash function. Whenever we are in need of memory address, we are not taking directly from that particular memory address. We are getting it from our hash code methods. So, so this has been from instead of memory, I'm going to use my hash code method. That's it. I'm again going to perform the same modular operation. So what happens here is, whenever you get a hash code, for sure the hash code will not be a 2-digit number or something with the index 0 to 15. So it will be a huge value, right? Because it gives a unique integer every time. So for that, to minimize it, I'm writing my own hash function. So hash code modulus of 10, or I can give modulus of 25, something. And I can end up with some value where the index should be ranging between 0 to 15. Or if you want to increase your capacity, you can increase, but it will always range in the power of 2 power of n, not more than that. If you increase your capacity, then the performance of map will be very less. So we never increase our capacity. We try to accumulate the data in this itself with the help of this linked list structure. How is it going to happen? We'll see that. But right now, the hash code is the one which we are using to identify the index position of your entire bucket. Are we clear till now?
Yes, Megha. And hash code and memory are not same, right? Actually, it will be different.
Hash code uses the memory address, but it's not a memory address. It uses the memory position. Like in your heap, whenever you add a data, it will create some hexadecimal value or some position, right? We use that, but that is not the final memory address value. We are using the memory location address. That's it.
Okay.
So now, every time when I create map data, right? So I have these values, but how is it getting inserted in my bucket? So what happens here is, so right now, let's say for this particular value, map.put 1 of 1, I'm getting a random, I'm not calculating, I'm just giving a random index of 9. So what happens is, in the position of 9, this gets segregated into 4 parts. Okay. What are these 4 parts? We'll see that. So this is my 9th index. And in the 9th index, as per our user understanding, this is nothing but our data. One, and this is the 1. So this is our key and value as per our understanding. But what is happening in the backend is, this has 4 parameters. So what are the 4 parameters is, the first one is my hash code value. Okay. The second one would be my key. The third one would be my value. And the fourth one would be the next para. Okay. So these are the 4 attributes which will be used internally whenever you create a map.put, and how the data gets segregated in the backend is in this structure. So right now, for this particular index, your data looks like the hash code is 67 676776667, and your key is 1 and your value is 1, and my next value right now after this particular node, okay, the linked list representation of node, I don't have any data. So my next would be right now as null. So I don't have anything except this. So for this particular index, after identifying the index with the help of hashcode method, I got the index position and the data will be inserted in the backend in this format, the hashcode, key, value, and the next location. Now, the next data which you are inserting, map.put 2 of 2. So what happens? Again, I calculate the hash code and I get an index. So this time, let's say I got an index of 5. So this time my data will be here. Which would be 2 and 2. So this is like our own representation. But in the backcode, how does this data look like? Can someone say? So let's
Hash code
have,
of 2.
yeah, so some hash code and the key would be your 2 and your data is 2. And right now my next position is not available. So I'll have it as none. There is no data. So none. So this would be the structure of my internal representation of my hash map for 5th index. Say for example, when I'm adding.
What will happen for 1?
What happened?
What will happen for the 9th question? Will it update the address of 2 or hash code of 2?
No, you have the hash code of the one which you created, right? So this is the hash code I got created for my map.put of 1, 1. So I'll have the hash code of this 1, 1 and null. When I'm trying to insert another one, I get a new hash code and a new index position, and then those values will be inserted here.
So when this last part, 4th part will be updated?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So now let's say I'm adding one more map. Okay, map.put of 3, 3. So this is my 3rd value. Now let's consider for this position, my hash code is something like this. And when I'm calculating the index, this time I got my index again as 9. Okay. So, but my key is 3 and my value is 3. So how will internally the hash code will have it? So now what happens is this particular value, whatever is in place right now, will be upgraded. So what happens is your 676776667 or 1, which is your key and the value. And right now the data was null so far, right? Now it will point it, it will link the data so that the next address would be this one, which is having the 78979798, which is 3, 3, null. So this particular address would become null, and here the node, the address of this particular linked list node will be updated here with some value of xxx. I'm just updating the address as xxx. So this will create a link between these two nodes. So whenever there is a collision happening or whenever you're trying to get the same index and again, only then this particular node will be connected to the another node with the help of the address what you receive. So that is the purpose of next. If you don't have an index repetitively, we'll have the next position always as null only. Are we clear there?
It will not be stored in different array in the same array, but with the different linked list, right?
Yeah. So this is the array of bucket. Okay. But internally the data, whatever you are storing is in the form of a linked list, like a node representation, which will have your data next address. So every time whenever you get a similar index position, it will be linked. So it is not like you should have only one node. You can have any number of nodes in that particular index. That is what hash map is. So if you open a dictionary and if you go and search for any word with BCC, what happens? You'll have 100 number of words, but everything is listed out in a single page, right? You don't have it in a separate page. It gets continued again till the number of words gets ended. but everything will remain in the same page, right?
Yes.
Did you get it, Janaki?
Yes. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
got it. Thanks.
okay. Yeah. So this is the, so just a moment. So are we clear till this purpose of how the hash code are we using in our map whenever we are adding a data in the put method? So we'll see this internally in by debugging the code whichever you have written right now and see what is happening. So now Kirba, you can share your screen. So whatever logic you learned here, the same thing you can experiment in our real time. I'll stop sharing. So now if you see, the initial capacity is nothing but the bucket, okay? So what is the initial capacity you have? Can you just debug that? If you see on the right side, you have a value of 4. Right, under the variables. Yeah, so just go ahead, give F8 or F6, go with F6.
Okay. Doesn't work.
Okay, or you can use the mouse click on top of your, there's a red icon, right, to stop your program, to terminate your program on the top of the menu.
Okay.
After
Yeah.
that, you have 3 icons, arrow map. After that, to the right side of it, no, like to your left, there's a stop icon, and after that, you have 3 arrow operators, right?
Yeah.
So if you see, if you just over on it, you can see that 3 operators are available. So one is like going into, the other one is like in, so step into is F5. And if you want to go into F6, and if you wanted to continue by skipping the detailing part, you can go with F7. So right now you can just give F6. Okay. So if you see the element data, so you have noticed the node structure, right? Within the node, you had next element, you had the data element. There are 2 sections. So this element data, can you just control click and go to that element data? So that is nothing but an object array. Okay. So right now there is an object array. You are assigning and you're creating a new array list to have all your map data inserted into it. That is what happening in your initial object creation. Now again, you can give F6. Yeah, you can click on that. Yeah. So post this, go ahead, F6. I think you kept somewhere debuggers. Okay, you can go F7. Okay. Can you go F6 again? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with F7. Okay. Go with F7. Okay, go ahead with F7. Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. I'm not sure why these are all enabled. Okay, you can just give F7. Okay, give F8.
This one.
See F8, the next one. Okay.
Comes to this line itself.
Okay. What you can do is, can you go to your near your termination icon? On your left side, there's something like round and cross symbol, like a pipe on your left side. So, yeah, just enable that. And then give F7 again. Okay.
One more
On your right side, there's a breakpoints, right? On your right side tab, like on the right side where you see the variables. On top of that, there's a breakpoints tab. Can you click on it? Yeah, you have only 4 breakpoints. Not sure why internally it's going. Just give F8. Okay, you're not able to give F8, right?
Or we'll stop, remove the breakpoints and comments.
Okay.
So I terminate this.
Yeah, I terminate that one. No, I don't want you to execute like this because I need you to understand the internal architecture of your hash map and linked list. Okay, let me share my screen in that case.
Okay.
So I have this already created. So let me debug this. So if you see right now, the map has a load factor with 0.75, which is your initial capacity that we use. The modulus count, which we'll use for hashing purpose, it's right now 0. The table, the array of bucket, right now, whatever we have created in our theoretical purpose, it's right now empty because no data has been added to your map. So you had your table as null. All the threshold values and other set, the key set, null set, all the keys and the value set, everything is empty. So right now your map is empty object. And let me go into this. So if you see that every time when you create a hash map, you have a default load factor, which is your 0.75. That is nothing but the initial capacity which is getting created. So whenever you create it, that is the only one which gets assigned with the load factor count. Now, let me go to so now let me just give F6. So whenever it comes into this place, if you observe the variable, the argument whichever you passed as part of your key and value, which is ABC is your key, and the second argument is 12, we have got that. It's yet to be inserted now. So if you go into this put value method, you can see there's a node. Every time when you add your data internally, it gets represented in the form of a linked list, nothing but a node structure where you have your key and value, and that is getting added in your table. So what is this table? So this is nothing but internally a node structure. So every time whenever you add your key, we represent the data in the form of your array list, but in the form of the node structure. So here you'll add them, and here if you see there's something called hash. So what is this hash? So every time you call this put function, there's something called hash. So here you call hash method of key. So this is the one which I said earlier. We calculate the hash value, but how are we calculating it? If you go and see here, see you're using a hash code method. This is nothing but the object dot class hash code. But in your hash map, are we having any hash code method? If you see internally, we had a hash code method, which is nothing but from objects dot hash code to the power of objects dot hash code to the power of value. So they have written their own implementation for the hash map node class. So which is node is nothing but an internal class, which is a static class internally used within your hash map. So now what happened is we calculate the hash function. From here, we get the actual hash value, which is your index, which acts as an index to insert your data. Now let's go again to put. So once you get your key, you get your value. And if you see this put value method, you need to consider only these three parts: hash, key, and value. The next address is not required right now. That is added in once you go into this method. You will see like whether I need to put this data into my next node or that node has to be null. Because if you have the same index position and if you're getting the hash value again a repetitive hash, then it will consider to put add that particular piece of node and connecting those two with the help of a linking those addresses. For that purpose, we create next equal to new node, and then we pass the entire new object values, whatever you have created as part of this. So in our scenario, the map.put, which is 3, will be added as a new node and will be appended to the existing node. So that happens here. And this is the internal architecture. You can just go through the flow when you try to add, and finally your data gets inserted. This is the part where your tree structure comes into picture, the linked list or the tree. You can also say tree because it is going to happen in a structure of node, key and value pair with the address, relevant address. So once this data is added, so let me go again F6. So now if you see in the map, the mod count. So as per the hash code, the mod count is 1. The number of elements inserted is 1. And the table right now is indexed. So if you see the data is getting, if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So as per the bucket of arrays, our data is right now added into the index position of 3. Okay. So your hash code helped you to identify the index and it inserted the data ABC equal to 12 internally. So this is done. And this key set is nothing but the number of keys which you use. And the entry set is the number of dictionary or the number of key value pairs you have added would be added here. Now if I give again F6. Now if I go to my variables, it's not yet processed. So again, it goes here. And right now the hash key will be created. And if you see the variable, right now it added in the index position of 5. So my data is added into another index. And that is getting inserted into the array of bucket, which is the initial capacity. And now, yeah, that's it. So my process is done. So if I go and see the map size, okay, the size is 2. Okay, are we clear till now the concept of your hash map, how internally it is working?
Yes, Neha.
So now let's see why the equals and hash code is very much important in our scenario. So let me end it. So now let me create one more map with integer as key and string map1 equal to new hash map